Hey guys, Tez here and welcome back to my channel. In this video I will be reflecting. Oh my gosh, I feel like such a healthcare professional. I feel like all my videos I'm either reflecting, sharing my experience. Like every single video is like what's it called? A CPD? Whatever it's called, yeah. But anyways, today we're going to be talking about an elective I did in the Philippines. Electives are basically placements that you usually choose to do in a different country, and they're usually done by medical students, nursing students, physiotherapists, basically degrees or subjects where you have to touch people. Now I know that pharmacy as an option is not really that popular when it comes to picking an elective. But you know, I wanted to do one and the opportunity was available, so I took it and I did one. And today I'm going to be telling you what I did, how it went and what I learned. Now if you haven't already figured it out, well I mean I don't know how you would have figured it out because the phone's quite small. I did it with a company called Work the World, and they were really good in sorting everything out. They have lots of options in terms of where you can go, in terms of countries. So I picked the Philippines because I have a lot of Filipino influence in my life in terms of my friends and some people who I class as my family, even though they might not agree. Philippa, we're sisters, not best friends, okay? But anyway, I decided to do the placement in the Philippines and I went to a city called Iloilo. So I think when I initially told people that I was going to be doing an elective in pharmacy, they were very confused and they were asking me why. And to be honest, instead of, do you know when people ask me why, I asked them, well, why not? And no one could really give me a valid reason. So yeah, if you want to do it, then do it. If you don't, they don't, honestly. Your life, you do you, boo. So the placement was 4 weeks in total, and so it was 3 weeks in a local hospital and then a week in a remote village. The village part was for you to get immersed in the culture and see how people live. Now, as you can tell, I have some African roots on me. I am Zimbabwean and I have been to Zimbabwe. I go a few times when I can, and I sometimes go to the village where there is no running water and you have to walk to get your water, and there's not, I suppose there is electricity, but it's kind of like solar panels, don't really know how it works. But yeah, basically I have been to like remote areas before, so it's not like a shock. So when I went to the Philippines, especially Iloilo, I wasn't like, what is this? I've never seen this before. It wasn't like that. I landed in Manila, and so then I was meant to go from Manila to Iloilo, and then we had to stay at Manila airport for like 7 hours because there was routine maintenance on the plane. And I was like, if it's routine maintenance and you schedule a flight, pick, like, either change the flight time or pick a different like plane. Like if it's routine, then it's something you know, so why? Anyway, enough of that. But the first night was so hot that I literally showered with my night clothes on, just so that they could be wet and cool me down before I got in the bed. Fan was on all night, and we also had mosquito nets, yada yada yada, so that was all good, so there was nothing to worry about that. And also obviously make sure that wherever you're going you're safe in terms of your vaccinations and stuff, because you don't want to get sick. On the first day of the actual placement, when I went to the hospital itself, it was a very different experience, I guess, and the person who was going to be in charge of us sat us down and was like, I just want you guys to remember that what you see here, just accept it for what it is. Like when in Rome, do as the Romans do, whatever. So don't try to change people, just learn and accept, basically. And I guess after having done the placement, my biggest thing was that when I went there, I had to kind of get rid of this saviour complex that you get from living in this country, and just remember that don't change people unless you give them the resources to maintain it. Trademark Tez 2021. I'm joking, sorry, this is a serious topic. But yeah, I just felt like a lot of times you'd see things and you think, oh, this could be so much better done this way, but then because I don't have the resources or the funds to help them maintain it, there's no point in suggesting it if they can't maintain it. So yeah, that was my biggest learning point, I guess. The thing that was crazy was like, so for example, here the way it works is when you go to the pharmacy, let's say you're 62, you get your medicines for free. Let's say you get some medicines for blood pressure, and then let's say your blood pressure then goes up or down and your treatment is changed. All those other tablets, you take them back to the pharmacy and they put them in the bin. Whereas in the hospital I was working at, so let's say you have a problem, let's say you have a clot, for example, and they're going to treat it with a Pixaban. Your relatives will get a prescription from the doctor on the ward, and they will walk over to the pharmacy, the hospital pharmacy, give the prescription to the pharmacist will give them the tablets that, so if it says 4.5 tablets, they get 4.5 tablets. Here we tend to like round up, they will get 4.5 tablets. They pay for the 4.5 tablets and then they return them back and give them to the nurse, and then the nurse will administer the tablets to the patients. Now this is the same even if it's injections or even if it's controlled drugs like morphine, fentanyl, whatever. The thing that really humbled me was that so when patients have cancer and they need chemotherapy, you usually make up the chemotherapy in aseptics in a sterile environment, but because they don't really have the resources or facilities to do that, what they would do is they would take incubators, so like for newborn babies, and turn that into the sterile environment and then have like a fan in there to create like the circulation, and that's how they made up the chemotherapy before they administered it to the patient. So the incubator would be in a room in one corner and the patients would just be in sofas around the room, and that works for them. And I guess when I was looking at that, I would be like, oh my gosh, not aseptic, but the risk of the patient getting an infection from that is not as high as them dying if they don't get the therapy that they needed. So I guess it's not that they do risk assessments, but the risk of dying because you haven't received medication is so much greater, which is why they do what they do. So that made me appreciate aseptics a lot more, because here someone would be like, I've seen something in a bag, and we'll be like, oh, just remake it. Whereas they will try filter it or whatever they need to do so that they're not wasteful, because it is the patients who are paying for these medicines every single time. So that was the placement in hospital. I didn't go to the village in the end because we went travelling somewhere and we all got sick, and I got a chest infection. And because I got a chest infection and my inhalers ran out, I ended up having to go to a private hospital, and that was a very different experience. It was kind of like here, basically, like going to your GP here. It felt very similar to that. So I was seen by the doctor. She had a BNF, it was outdated, but she had one, and she diagnosed me, gave me some meds, sorted me out, got a new inhaler, and obviously because I had insurance, I was able to claim all of that back, so that was really good. I think the one thing I'll never forget, regardless of how old I get, is when I was so I did various specialities in the hospital, and when I was on the pediatrics assessment unit, kind of, that area just broke my heart to a million pieces. So I get teary just thinking about it. But basically they were doing lumbar punctures on children. Now it was done on like a table in a waiting area, so other kids could see what was happening to the kid before it was their turn. And what would happen is the mum, oh gosh, Tez, compose yourself. The mum would come with the baby, for example, and then the doctor would do the lumbar puncture, and the mum would hold the baby down so that, well, or the child even, so that the child doesn't move while the doctor did that. And it was just heart-wrenching, because some of them just wanted to hold their mum's hand because it was like a really traumatic experience. And obviously if you're sat in a line and you're watching like like a child similar to your age crying. So like what would happen is hands and the legs the mum would be holding, and then the nurse would hold the body down to stop them from moving, and then and it just broke my heart. And I was like, I know I can't change anything, but what can I do? So then I was just asked if it was okay for me to like hold the child's hand. I was like, yeah, if you want to. So then I just held her hand and I just started singing Frozen. I think I was singing like Let It Go or something, and because Frozen had just come out then, if I'm not mistaken. And I think for the child was just, I think because of the same girl, that was a strange experience in itself to be able to touch me, and because I was singing and it was distracting. So I think it went, I would like to hope that it wasn't as painful or scary as it would have been otherwise. And then I feel like it worked because all the other mums were like, oh, can she stay and hold my son, can she stay and hold my son's hand as well. But yeah, I'll never forget that. That was like the cutest moment ever. And then because then afterwards the little boy was like, thank you, and I just started crying. I know that's so unprofessional, but I'm like, he's literally going through a horrible procedure and he's still kind enough to say thank you. Like, that was really cute. So yeah, that was a very special moment for me, which I will never ever forget. So I guess that is my why not, because I got to be a part of such a beautiful moment. Now I'm done being a simp. I'm going to talk about the actual travelling. So this was by far the best bit. So we went to Antique. So these are like my favourites because I feel like this video is already really long and I didn't intend it for it to be this long. But my favourite was Antique, where you sit in like a hot pot, I guess, and you sit inside and there's boiling water and there's a fire, and then it looks like you're being boiled, I guess, to be eaten. I don't know, that's a cool vibe. And we also went to my favourite beach in the whole world, which is in Boracay, the island. It's got like white sand, it's beautiful. We had such a great time. We were there for, I think that's after that holiday, that's when we got sick. But yeah, it was the best time ever. It was just, I feel like the people I went with, we got along so well. Lots of funny stuff happened, and sometimes like I just think about it and then just start laughing because it's just crazy to think that that happened to me. But two of the girls lived in England and I'm still in touch with them, and we meet every year just to catch up and see where we are. And I feel like I made long-term friends from like such a short trip. I would definitely recommend doing an elective, even as a pharmacy student. Never know what you could do or learn, and I had the best time of my life, and I think if I got the opportunity I would definitely do it again.
I am so sorry, I completely forgot that we went to my favourite place ever called Guimaras, and they grow mangoes, and I'm pretty sure they said that the Queen of England gets her mangoes from there. And we entered a mango eating competition where the more mangoes you eat, obviously, then you win, and the prize was a mango. Brilliant.
Anyways guys, let me know in the comments if you have any questions, or if you have been or are thinking about an elective, like where did you go, how did you find it. And don't forget to tap the like button so the video reaches more people. Subscribe if you haven't already because it really helps me out, and until next time, bye for now.